I wish I knew these 3 lessons a little bit earlier in my coaching journey, but today, guys, what I want to share is just 3 powerful coaching lessons to help any busy professional or parent on their transformation journey. I'm your host, Coach Cory Fernandez. Guys, this is the Excelsior Health Podcast, and this podcast is for busy professionals and busy parents that are looking to transform their health and do it in a simple and effective way. What we do, guys, is we take the confusing, complicated, overwhelming aspects of health and fitness, and we break it down into simple tactics and habits so that way you guys can get real results. You can gain your energy back, you can start working out consistently, build strength, build muscle, and we could also lose some body fat. All right, guys, this is gonna be a quick one, but a good one. And I was just reflecting on what I wanna talk about on this podcast episode. And there was like 3 recent moments that came up. And they were like more confirmation of how I've evolved as a coach. And they were just lessons that I thought I would share to anyone who's in their journey of transformation. So first lesson that I'm gonna talk about, guys, is I kind of learned this one as I was going through the Training for Warriors certification 11 years ago. And basically it's, anybody can get you tired and sore. Only a great coach can get you real results and make you better. That's the key. So I never want people to think, oh man, I'm so sore. I'm so tired. That doesn't equate to getting results. That's actually very easy to do. So if I just took someone that I'm training and working out with, and I just made them run around the building over and over and over again, guess what? That can make them tired. Is that necessarily the right thing for helping them lose body fat or gain strength? Maybe not. And then on the other side of things, being sore doesn't mean you're building muscle. So for example, if I wanted to make you really sore, I could say, hey, I want you to do 100 bodyweight squats right now in a row. And that would make pretty much anyone sore. But what would be more effective is getting someone to do 5 squats. And once they get to 5, they can potentially only do 1 or 2 more. That's a little bit more effective to building muscle. And it might not make them sore in that moment, but that's what's gonna help them get results. So where this lesson was reminded to me recently, I was at the track, I was coaching my son, we were doing a little speed workout. And not too far from us was this maybe 17-year-old, maybe he was 18-year-old. He was a pretty big boy. He kind of looked like he was a football player. Maybe an offensive lineman or D lineman, and he looked like he was trying to get in better shape. Maybe he was trying to improve his athleticism, his speed, and he was getting trained by a younger girl, and she didn't seem much older than him. Maybe she was the same age, maybe she was a little bit older. And just what I experienced in this session just reminded me the difference of a trainer and a coach. And as I said earlier, the trainer, they'll give you a workout, they'll make you tired, they'll make you sore. A coach is going to train you to work towards a goal. They're gonna help you from where you are, and they're gonna bridge the gap to where you wanna be, and they're gonna get you better. And what I saw from this young coach, she literally had this guy just moving and training non-stop. So while I'm working with my son, we're doing a full dynamic warm-up, we're doing little rests, and then we're doing plyometrics, which just means jumping. We're doing some sprinting, but in the middle of this workout, I'm giving him rests. So for example, he might do a 20-yard sprint at a high intensity, and then he's getting about 2-minute rest to recover, and we're having conversation during that time. Meanwhile, I'm looking over at this poor young athlete, and he's sprinting up the hill, then he's doing footwork at the top, then he's running right back down, he's doing it again, then she's sending him on a 400-meter jog around the track for a guy who's like 250 pounds, and then at one point he's doing bear crawls down the bleachers, and she's sitting down on the bleacher yelling at him. And mind you, she's trying to be motivational. It's all in your head. It's all in your head. Keep going. Let's go. Keep pushing. But to me, I'm sitting there, and my wife was there too, and we're just cringing inside because that's not coaching. That's just putting someone through the grinder and they're just doing a sweaty, hard workout. That guy was not getting better. He was not getting more explosive. He was not running with proper form because he was just going non-stop without rest. So the lesson that I have for you guys today is getting results doesn't need to be strenuous and painful and like agonizing and like so extremely difficult. That's not going to speed up progress, right? What progress is doing a few moves, right? And oftentimes they're basic moves, but or like how we like to say it is ordinary moves, but done with extraordinary effort and execution. So for you, if you're doing a workout by yourself and you got 10 to 12 and like 15 different things that you're doing and you're nonstop and you're not giving yourself any rest, I'm going to tell you right now, that's not the way you're going to get results. And even worse, if you're paying a personal trainer, if you're in a program and you are just doing things nonstop and you feel like you're going to throw up every workout and you have anxiety in your car because you're about to go into the session, you're like, oh my God, this is going to be so crazy and hectic and I'm going to throw up. That is not the type of experience you want. A good coach is going to see where you're at. They're going to make sure you're doing the right exercises and they're going to push you out of your comfort zone, but they're always going to follow what you're doing with the appropriate rest. So no matter, even if you're doing sprints, which is a little bit more on the high intensity side, or maybe you're doing some squats, some push-ups, rest is an important part, right? So that was a big coaching lesson for myself, is like, man, people think working out is all about being so hard and difficult. Now, I don't want you to get confused. You can't go through a workout and everything's just like mediocre intensity, you're laughing, you're talking while you're training. That also is not going to get you results. But you have to push yourself out of your comfort zone, but you have to be followed by rest. And within one workout, there's only so much you're going to improve in that session. And some coaches, especially young coaches, they think a sign that the client values the workout is that it's so hard and so difficult. And they almost don't like rest because rest is uncomfortable. You have to talk to the client, or they have to sit there and kind of breathe. And it's like, no, do the next thing. We're going to do squats and now you're going to jump up and down. So main point that I want to say, guys, is rest is a part of results. You need rest days on your journey. You need to rest during a training session. And the best coaches, they're going to remind you, hey, you need to rest right here. But then also the best coaches are going to give you an exercise or a workout, and they're going to push you out of that comfort zone, but enough that you leave the session feeling a sense of accomplishment, and then you want to come back. Are you going to be sore from time to time? Yes, that's a part of training. It does happen. But the goal of a great session is not to make someone sore. It's not to make someone puke, and it's not to break someone down. Just when I say those words, I remember there was a gym owner that I used to rent space from. And that was one of the things that he used to say, and I used to cringe all the time. He's like, my job is to break you down. It's to break you down and build you up, break you down. And it's like, no, like the job is not to break someone down. The job is to build them up from where they're at. Most people that are working out, they're already down, man. They're already 20, 40, 50 pounds overweight. They've already not working out. They're already low energy. We don't need to break people down. We need to help rebuild them. We need to make them better. And it starts one session at a time, one meal at a time, one day at a time. So that's my first lesson for you guys, is don't look for a coach who just wants to make you sore, who wants to make things hard for no reason. Look for the coach who genuinely makes you better from session to session, week to week, month to month. But then look for that program that's taking you from where you are and bridging the gap to where you want to be. All right, so that's lesson number one. Lesson number two it's the reality and the brutal truth of what it takes to get results. So I was sitting in my back office, and one of our newer clients, she was doing a check-in meeting, and she was talking to our coach Jabbar. And Coach Jabbar was just kind of, asking her what she's grateful for, talking about her progress. She was down 3 pounds of body fat in, I think, 4 weeks. She built about 2 pounds of muscle. And he was telling her, like, man, this is fantastic. And she was like, oh, okay, like, it's okay. I wish it was a little bit more. And he started to go into the habits. And one of the habits that he started to talk about was protein. He was saying, hey, you know what? We want to get you close to 90 to 100 grams of protein. I know you want to learn a little bit about calories. To give you an idea, 1,600 calories for a woman, 140 pounds is a good place to be, since you got to lose some body fat. And one of the things that she says, she's like, 1,600 calories, that seems like too much, right? That seems like I'm going to gain weight if I eat that much. And I was sitting there in the corner on my laptop listening, and Jabbar did a great job. He handled it. He gave her some communication. But then afterwards, I said to Jabbar, I said, hey, Jabbar, next time what I want you to do is really confront that situation and let that client know that, hey, 1,600 calories, it might seem like a lot to you, but the reality of the situation is you eat on average much more than that. And that's why you're overweight, and that's why you have a high body fat percentage, is because you think you eat less than that, but the reality is you eat so much more. And that's an adjustment period for a lot of people, is they just don't realize that the foods that they eat or the beverages that they consume are way more calories than they think. And the physical activity that they do on a consistent basis is far less than what they actually think, right? They think they work out consistently, but they really don't. They think they move that much, but they really don't. So that equation right there is often a shock for people when it's like, yeah, hey, if we eat 1,600 calories, which is not a lot of food to tell you the truth, but you're eating high protein foods, you're eating fruits and vegetables, you're eating good starchy carbs, you could eat quite a bit of food and still lose body fat. But if you're eating 1,600 calories of processed food, which might be, packaged foods, fast foods, quick go things, most of those things are not going to be very filling, and you're going to go through that 1,600 calories still feeling like you need more nutrition and more food. So the point that I'm trying to say is, like, a good coach, right, is often going to have those hard conversations with people and let them know, is like, yeah, you think you're doing this a certain way, but the reality is we're not. And anytime someone's going through a period where they're trying to build muscle and they're trying to lose some body fat, it's learning the reality of the situation. So when it comes to training, you learn how to train hard when you work out with someone who trains way harder than you. That's just what it is you see their habits, you see the way they approach a set. So oftentimes I'll work out sometimes in a class every now and then a student will be like, oh crap, like he's really struggling. And it's because I'm pushing myself in that set. And that opens up their eyes of like, oh, that's the way I got to train. I can't just do the same weights every time. And I can't leave 5 or 6 reps in the tank. I got to push myself near failure, and I got to maintain good form. And then the same thing goes with nutrition. I can't have one healthy meal a day and then I'm snacking majority of the day and I'm not really paying attention to what I'm eating and expect that I'm going to lose a pound a week and expect that I'm going to drop and change my physique. No, I got to eat 80% of the time. I got to be having healthy and nutritious meals at the right calorie range. I got to be tracking my weight and my body fat percentage. So it's just really opening up the reality of the situation and saying, oh, okay, this is what it takes to get real results, right? And part of what does that is you spend time with people that are getting the results that you want. Or again, you invest in a coach who's helping other people do that, right? So that's my second lesson is oftentimes we have to learn what it really takes to get real results. Lesson number 3, this one's a little bit more personal. And what I would label this one is like, it's just the power of positive and honest feedback. So I'll give you an example. A lot of my coaching now is like with my kids. So I'll coach my oldest kid. She's 22 years old. We work out together, coach her in her career, which is one of the head coaches here at Training for Warriors, but coach her in her training. But then my son, who's the second oldest, he's 8 years old, and he's very competitive sports, plays a high level basketball, plays a high level football. So we do a lot of things. And, the last year, I would say we've had some conflict at times where he's getting used to playing at a high level. Maybe I'm adding some extra pressure and standards to him. And oftentimes I'll come back and I'll talk to my wife and I'll just be like, man, like, I feel like he's developing these bad habits of poor body language on the court, giving up on himself, negative self-talk. And it's really frustrating as a father, because you see the potential in your son, but then I'm also a coach, and then I feel like, oh my God, like, how come I'm not having this positive impact on my son? And it ruins my day, to be honest. It's like if I have a bad practice with him or if I see him have a bad day, it impacts me personally. And a couple things that I've learned is, as a father, and especially someone who coaches an athlete, I can't wrap my self-worth into my son's progress. That's probably been one of the biggest lessons, is he's going to make mistakes and he's going to go through periods, and sometimes it's out of my control. And I have to be okay with him learning these mistakes. And it's not a reflection solely of me as a parent, but even if he is going through those, I got to be patient. But the biggest thing that I've learned is shifting away from like just the constructive feedback of, hey, you got to keep your finger up on the shot. Hey, you got to throw that ball this way. Hey, you're not twisting your feet enough. Hey, you're not playing your like that part comes, but I have to fit in the honest, positive praise. So that's what I've learned, is when I am leading with more positivity of, hey, I love your effort in that rep. Hey, I love the way you threw that high five to your teammate when he was down. Hey, I love that you showed up today and you worked out even though you don't feel like it. It reinforces the behaviors that I want. Versus when I'm focused on the negative, it doesn't have as much as an impact as I want. So for me, it's been a learning curve of how can I give the positive feedback, but also not make it fake. It has to be honest. So I think that's another lesson that's hidden in this one too, is when you give feedback to your kid, to a coworker, maybe somebody you're coaching, someone you're leading, and they know it to be true, they know like what you're saying is right, that goes a long way. But if we give fake feedback, like, oh, you're doing an amazing job, and they're not really giving that great effort, it's fake feedback. It doesn't change anything. So for me, that's kind of been a big reminder and a big lesson, is I have to lead with positivity. Then I could throw in some of that constructive, challenging feedback of, hey, let's raise our standards. And then again, reinforce the positive feedback afterwards. That is what's going to help someone develop the habits, be more consistent, have a more open attitude to improvement. And it's hard, man. It's hard to do it as a dad. It's hard to do it as a coach, but it's a skill. So if you are a busy professional and a busy parent, changing your health is step one. And then being able to use some of these skills to implement it on maybe your spouse, implement it on your kids, it's a working progress. But then also, I just want to switch it, is think about if you're working with a coach. And this is something that we talk about as staff all the time. If the coach you're working with only highlights the negative things. So I see this all the time, like when I go to like commercial gyms. Oh, no, your elbows are back. No, your squat's not deep enough. No, come on, get those knees out. It's only coaching on what's going wrong. It's not an enjoyable experience. Granted, a coach's job is to look for those things that we need to improve on, but also a great coach, what you should experience is they also look for the things that you're doing good. And they share with you and they make you aware that, man, listen, you just showed up 3 times a week. Man, you haven't done that in a long time. I'm proud of you for that. Hey, I know you've been going through a lot of crazy stuff in your personal life, but you're still showing up. Hey, man, remember 5 months ago, you could barely do this move, and now you're 20 pounds heavier on the barbell? Fantastic job. So that's a powerful lesson that I hope everybody can be reminded is just, hey, we can't focus on the negative things of what someone's doing wrong only. We have to lead with positivity, honest feedback, and then we can make room for some of that constructive feedback. All right, guys. So, hey, those are 3 lessons to me as a coach. I wish I knew earlier in my journey. I'm still learning and I'm still getting these valuable lessons to make me better as a coach, as a business owner, but then most importantly, where these things help me is as a father as well. So hopefully these ones will help you. Send this episode out to someone who needs to be reminded of these lessons. And again, if you're someone who's looking for coaching, you're looking to do consistent strength training, but you also want to do it in a positive environment, you can keep listening to this podcast, but even better, you could join Training for Warrior Saga. So you can visit tfwsaga.com and then you can fill out to jump on a call with one of our members of our team. And hopefully we'll get you in here. Coach Cory signing out. Beastin'. Ha.